Hello everyone, welcome to Lion Pride Sports. I'm Neil Fischer. A few special guests on today. We'll have Lindenwood softball head coach Liz Kelly in her third season at Lindenwood after having the best year in NCAA era. And we'll have Lindenwood softball senior catcher Becca Stocker to discuss what it's like being a student athlete at Lindenwood. After that, Lindenwood head bowling coach Phil Vida, whose women's team is ranked #1 in the country, will join the show. What has your experience been like? You're in your third season at Lindenwood. What's the experience been like thus far?
You know, it's been a growing experience for the team, and I'm so excited about where we are right now. The team has really just worked so hard this year, and we're excited to get out on the field.
When you got to Lindenwood, what was the biggest change you made to the program?
I think we tried to just address the overall culture of the program. We're always looking for top-tier athletes, and there was a lot of good players here, and it was just getting them to believe and that we could win in the MIAA and then next year going into the GLVC.
Yeah, what are your expectations going into the GLVC next season?
You know, it's a good question. The national champion came out of the GLVC last year, so they have a very competitive conference, and the year prior to that, the national champion came out of our region, the MIAA region, the central region. So they're both very comparable. I look for our team to, be able to compete pretty well, but no games are easy, and we have to take every game very serious and play pitch by pitch.
Is there going to be a different style of play going from the MIAA to the GLVC?
Style of play, I would say the pitching is maybe somewhat a little bit better in the GLVC, or it has been in the past, where the hitting maybe has been a little stronger in the MIAA. So I would say we're going to be able to carry our offense, which we have a pretty strong offense this year, and with our pitching staff, we're going to be, I think, right up there.
Last season you had 6 hitters hitting above 300. Do you see that for this season as well?
You know, I do. I see we have some very strong players. To lead off with, Austin Pauly is on the top 50 watch list. One of 2 players in the MIAA conference in the country on that list, so she's very strong. Hannah Porter, Hannah Johnson, Stormy Galka are a few of our great hitters, and we have some new players coming in who I think are going to be able to produce quite a bit. So, yeah, I think we'll have a pretty strong offense going into this year.
Last season, you guys had the best record in the NCAA era. What was going into that season? What was the preparation like?
You know, that was such a fun season. Looking back, it was such a process to have the team believe that we could do what we could do. And once they started seeing their abilities, and we could just, we went on like a 15-game win streak or something like that at the end of the year, and we just got stronger and stronger, and that was one of our goals. It was just so fun to see the players play to meet their potential, and that's, what our goal is to get each player to play the best that they can.
Softball is a very energized sport. You hear the benches a lot screaming and yelling for their players. Does that factor into that confidence rolling into those 15-game winning streaks? You know,
every team has their own little persona going, and in the sport of softball, it is really important that that you are there to show that you're there for your teammates. And yeah, I don't know any other sport where it's so important to have that dugout chemistry to show support. So yeah, I think we practice that. I mean, that's something that we need to also get better and better at as we get going here.
So what's your philosophy of coaching? Do you have a style of play, like a bunt and run kind of offense, or you're more of a pitching and defense based?
Yeah, I'd like to be all that. I think we try to run a balanced offense so that we're prepared to face any type of pitcher. So if we have a dominant pitcher, then we have some speed and some fast kids, and can move them over, steal some bases. But then if we don't have a dominant pitcher, if we're not facing a dominant pitcher, then we have our power hitters, and they certainly can hit it out and score lots of runs. So, our pitching and defense always needs to be sound. So we really work on that to try to get better every year. And we have a lot of experience on the mound this year. first comes to mind is Sam Dean, and she's a senior in our program, and she's able to start games, come in relief, and close games out. And we'll rely heavily on her going this year. We have another freshman in our program who's just going to, Maddie Corwell, who's going to help really, I think, booster up our pitching staff, and then always Stormy and Marina, who have just been solid for the last couple years. So.
Having those veterans to guide the younger, the underclassmen, the freshmen, what does that mean to you as a coach and to the team in general?
Yeah, it's so important to pass down tradition and competitiveness, and we're finally to a point now where you want the freshmen to listen to your upper class. So they really are stepping up and doing a great job. And you're going to talk to Becca here in a few minutes, but she's been right there the whole time for our team and leading by example and really showing the underclassmen how to behave and how we're going to be as Lindenwood softball goes forward.
So going forward, what are your expectations going into the 2019 season?
You know, always my expectation is to try to play to the best of our ability, and again, that's what we'll do this year. We could go a long way if we bring our A game and play our best every game. We can beat almost anybody in the country, I think. That's the challenge for us, is to be able to be mentally strong and to prepare ourselves so that we can play at that level day in and day out.
So you guys are getting ready for the season. What's it like not being able to practice outside on the field as much due to the weather?
Well, as you know, being a baseball player, it's a challenge, right? We're inside a lot, but we can get a lot of work done, and it's almost in one regard better because we don't get to do the live scrimmages as much, but we do get to work on very specific parts of the game and very compartmentalized inside. So we get to hit a lot, we get to work a lot of our defensive plays, and when we get outside, then we'll put it all together. And it's going to be fun. We play Thursday, so it'll be fun to get out and see how it goes.
You guys have a turf field at Lindenwood. Is it easier to come from inside playing on just a natural surface than going outside and playing on that turf?
I don't really think it matters the condition of the playing surface so much. You adjust to it. We know our field, and then we go and play in dirt, and you play in dirt, and our field actually plays just a little bit slower. So it's a little bit of adjustment, but it's not a big deal.
So you guys start your season against Quincy, a future opponent in the GLVC. What's it like playing those out-of-conference games against the GLVC opponents?
It's good practice for us, and we play a lot of GLVC opponents this year, many of them who are in the top 10 in the country, so we're really looking forward to that because really we only have one way to go, and we just got to play wild and abandon and leave it all out on the field, and it'll be exciting. It'll be good games with Quincy. We split with them last year. I think we opened up with them last year also, so it's our first game jitters, and once we get that out of the way, then I'm really looking forward to see what this team can do.
So let's go to recruiting. As a head coach, do you look for specific things, or do you go off of what your team needs at a certain time?
Well, yeah, we look at it to build the program, and so it's not just this year. It's what do we need next year, and what do we need the following year to be, continue a strong team. So obviously, talent. Skill is first and foremost, and then really it's important to get the right chemistry. The players that are strong people who have the right values. So we really recruit hard on that too.
And if you had a recruit on campus and showing them around, what is your favorite part about showing recruits at Lindenwood?
The old side of campus, honestly, is one of my favorites because it's that collegiate feel. It's beautiful buildings, big trees, and really to showcase our academics because a lot of our players are high academic. So it's important that they know the academic side. Our softball facilities and the athletic facilities here speak for themselves. I mean, they're beautiful. So you don't really have to show that off so much. It's just something to be proud of. That you get to play on this field for Lindenwood and we have that sense of feel. But I think probably the old side of campus.
Speaking of facilities that Lindenwood has, I know the baseball program has a very nice clubhouse, and the softball does too. Some schools don't have that, and it really separates teams sometimes. Do you think that the clubhouse really brings the team together at times?
You know, the clubhouse that we both share, right? Baseball has a great one, softball has a great one, is so important. I mean, not very many Division II universities have the facilities that we have. So we definitely appreciate it every day. And, you know, we get into our ping pong games like you guys do over there. I see you over there. But yeah, it's huge. It's a huge piece for our players to feel loved here at Lindenwood.
Do you ever get in on the ping pong games?
Yes, I do.
Are you good?
I'm okay.
Really? Wow. You might have to come over to the baseball locker room one day.
I've seen you guys over there, so yeah.
Yeah, last year we were really talented. This year there's not as much talent at the ping pong table.
Yeah, well, we'll go at it.
So in the fall, do you have the scrimmages and everything that the baseball team does, and then do you make the players earn their lockers, or do they get them right away?
No, they're assigned a locker, and you know, we have enough lockers per player type thing. But we scrimmage a lot in the fall. I mean, we have a full fall program just like you guys do, and then go into our individual workouts, and we're definitely busy in the fall.
Is there anything else you'd like to add about the 2019 season coming up?
Yeah, I just think come out and watch a game if you haven't yet. Our pitchers throw 60, our kids run 60 feet in 2.7 seconds. I mean, we got some really talented players that I think you'd be pleasantly surprised to see. Okay,
thanks, Coach. Appreciate the time. That will do it for Lindenwood softball head coach Liz Kelly. They'll hit the diamond at Lou Brock Sports Complex March 8th to open conference play against Emporia State. Coming up, we'll have Lindenwood softball senior catcher Becca Stocker to discuss what it's like being a student athlete at Lindenwood. Next on Lion Pride Sports.
We'd do anything for kids. Yet 1 in 6 children in the U.S. struggle with hunger. Help end childhood hunger near you. Learn how at feedingamerica.org.
Queen is just my everything.
His smile did it. His smile, his eyes, his knowledge. My landlord, he decided that he wanted me to move based on the fact that I was transgender. Let's just respect people in everyday life for just being human.
Planning the right amount of food is hard. The Guestimator makes it easy. Just tell it who's coming and what's for dinner. Then it tells you how much to make. And yes, it even plans for leftovers. Try it at SaveTheFood.com.
Welcome back to Lion Pride Sports. I'm Neil Fischer. Being a student athlete has its perks, but being a catcher for the softball team and juggling school is what our guest does each year. Joining us now from the Lindenwood softball team, senior catcher Becca Stocker. Becca, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. What's it like being a student athlete at Lindenwood University?
It's a very exciting atmosphere. I think being able to watch other people's sports and having people come watch us, everyone supports everyone, so it's really exciting.
How did you end up choosing to come to Lindenwood to play softball?
I actually live pretty close, and I knew that I needed to stay close to my parents because I like when they come to my games and watch me play. So I chose it more for staying close to my family.
So what's your favorite part about playing softball?
Just being able to be out on our gorgeous field. We have a really pretty field, and being able to just be here, have my parents come watch me play. So.
Is it hard to manage school and softball?
At first it was a struggle, but I think that you get the hang of things whenever you continually do it. I write everything in my planner. I can't miss anything or else I'll miss practice or something. So.
And you're an accounting major, so how hard is that?
It can be pretty difficult at times, but I mean, like anything, you kind of have to get through it, so it's okay.
Being a catcher is a grind. I've seen it on the baseball team. And how hard is it to catch the majority of the games for the softball team?
Honestly, I've caught all my life, so it's not too difficult. So I've always been with my travel team. I caught all those games with my high school team. Called all those, so it's just natural now.
How did you get into catching?
So my sister is a pitcher, and she's 3 years older than me, and I don't think my dad wanted to catch her, so he kind of stuck me there.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
So is catching your favorite part about playing, or is it hitting?
Definitely catching. Being involved in every single part of the play is awesome. So.
You guys had a tremendous season in 2018. What was it like being on that team?
It was very exciting. I think that's the first time that it actually felt real at Lindenwood, because before the first 2 seasons weren't the best, but they weren't the worst. But then being there, it makes this season really exciting for me. So
what was preparation like coming into the 2019 season after having that tremendous season?
A lot of practice, yeah. And I think we've definitely been hitting off of our pitchers more. So that's really good to get us more ready for the games that we're going to start playing here soon.
So do you try to get a connection with each pitcher on the team, or do you have certain pitchers that you have better connections with?
I mean, I feel like with anything you'll have more connections with a certain pitcher, but definitely having a connection with every single one of them is key, because you need to always be on the same page. So being on the same page, you might have a pitcher that gets taken out of the game, so you definitely have to connect with every pitcher, so that way you can have a feel for everyone.
So catching, you see all the pitches. I know the rise ball is probably one of the hardest pitches to hit. I've tried to hit it myself, and it did not go very well. Is it easier to hit knowing that you're a catcher and having been seen all those pitches?
I think so, because I've gotten to the point now where I can kind of see what they're going to throw by the way their hands are, so it definitely gives us a little advantage.
So what's your favorite part about being at Lindenwood University and playing softball?
I think just being able to play the sport that I love. It's definitely exciting to be able to continue and go to my senior season, so I think that's pretty much it.
What do you like about Lindenwood the most that draws you in and that could draw other people in if they came on campus?
I think the way that it's set up, for one, it's really exciting to be able to go to my house and walk to class in only 15 minutes, whereas other campuses, it's not that. And then just the beauty of it. It's a really beautiful campus.
I talked to Coach Kelly about the locker room that you guys have. How much does that help your guys' team bond?
I think so much. We like to go in and play ping pong a lot, so we get to do that. And it also helps with connections on the team, so that way you can have a different partner each time. And it's exciting to be able to go in before a game and just listen to music and hang out.
When you came in as a freshman, did that help your mentality, knowing that everybody was around each other and that you didn't have to really go outside of softball to really make a strong connection?
Yes, definitely. I don't think I'd have as many friends as I do now if I didn't play softball here at Lindenwood.
What's it like been practicing in the cold, preparing for the 2019 season?
It's definitely an adjustment, because for me, for my high school season, it was fall, so it was never really that cold. So coming in and having to play in the cold and practice in the cold it helps you get used to it when you practice in the cold. So it definitely, your hands are frozen when you try to hit the ball, but you got to play through it. So.
Thanks, Becca. Appreciate the time. Best of luck to Becca as she gets her season started on the field. Coming up next, Lindenwood women's bowling team is ranked #1 in the country. Find out how they got there from their head coach, Phil Vida, next on Lion Pride Sports.
Listen to me. I am captain of the track team, and And if I'm late,
She doesn't really think she's going to get out of here, does she?
Be nice. She's new. Hello, is anyone there? Ugh!
Wow. Even from our standards, you look awful.
Oh, sweetie, what happened? Me? My friend Becky got to talk to this super cute boy, and I tried to act like I wasn't jealous, but I so totally was. And then out of nowhere, this concrete barrier just popped up. Maybe it was a semi.
You mean you were driving?
Yeah. I mean, I know the whole eyes on the road thing, but this was a super important text. Maybe you have to know, Becky.
Texting? Great.
But it was only like 5 seconds, and I'm a really, really fast texter, so it wasn't even a big deal. Actually, has she texted me back yet? Wow, I get like no bars in this place. I wonder if they have Wi-Fi here.
Observe a domesticated human family in their natural habitat, known to their species as the backyard.
Hey, you think I should light it now?
I think it's good.
Yeah?
Oh dear, someone is about to burn a pile of debris that's too tall, which can start a wildfire. Wait, could it be? Blimey, it is.
It's Smokey.
It's Smokey Bear. What a legend.
Hey, it's Smokey. Sorry, it was too high. Right.
Watch as he astutely ensures that there's no wind, and how he removes some of the debris to create a smaller, safer burning pile.
No, you said make it bigger. No, you said make it bigger, baby. The bigger, the better.
Take note of our fearless furry friend here, humans.
I appreciate it. Fist bump.
Watching you.
Smokey's done it again.
Bye, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back to Lion Pride Sports. I'm Neil Fischer. Joining us now, head coach from the Lindenwood men's and women's bowling team, Phil Vida. Coach, how are you doing today?
Wonderful. And you?
I'm doing great. The women's team is #1 in the country. How did they get to that point?
Well, it's based on kind of a ranking system. So every time we go to a tournament, where we finish, we get ranking points based on where we finish and how many teams we finish ahead of. Then coaches look at that and kind of put together a ranking system, basically a coaches poll. And so the first coaches poll, which was done in December, we were the ones that ended up at the top.
So are you excited to see what the team does this weekend in the Hoosier Classic?
Definitely. This is one of the biggest tournaments of the year. There's going to be 78 men's teams and 66 women's teams in the field. And it's one of the toughest tournaments that we see during the season because there's 3 different oil patterns that we could potentially bowl on if we make it to match play.
How difficult is that to not know what oil pattern is coming and show up and bowl in that day?
Well, it's not easy, but because we practice to prepare for that, it's a little easier than it could be. We know our game. Each bowler knows their particular style of play. They know their ball roll, so they can use that, see what the oil pattern is doing based on what their ball is doing when they let it go.
When you guys are practicing, what do you do to mix it up so the players have a harder chance of getting the strike?
Well, we have an oil machine that we are able to keep 28 different oil patterns in at any given point. So as a coach, I can randomly pick an oil pattern and not tell them what it's going to be. And that's one of the better ways that we prepare for what we're going to see out in tournament competition.
When you guys are at a competition, how many players get to go for each team?
Well, we can play up to 3 teams of 8, depending on the tournament and whether or not there's enough open spaces in the tournament field. So that means we could play up to 24, so we can have an A team, a B team, and a C team.
So what is it like when the men's and the women's team practice together, knowing that the women's team is #1 in the country in their field?
Well, it's a source of pride within the program that they're doing so well. But our men's team has done very well over the years as well. So it's kind of a friendly competition, a friendly rivalry at most practices. And occasionally we do scrimmage against each other. And that's when it gets pretty exciting because, the women always like to beat the guys, but the guys don't want to get beat by the women. So it works out pretty well.
Do you teach them differently during practice or do you teach them the same?
In what respect? Between men's and women's?
Yes.
I think the sport is pretty much the same regardless of whether you're male or female. Men tend to have a little bit more speed and a little bit more power as far as their release capabilities, but the idea is still the same. You're still trying to knock 10 pins down on every shot.
So what are the expectations for the rest of the season?
Well, we're right at the end of the regular season. The Hoosier Classic, which is this weekend, is the last regular season tournament. And then we find out the following Wednesday where we will be sent for our regional competition, what we call a sectional. So it's kind of like the March Madness of bowling. We could be sent to Chicago, Tennessee, Stratford, New Jersey, or Dallas, Texas. And when we find that out, then that's a tournament where basically you have to finish in the top 4 at whatever region that you are sent to, and if you do that, then you advance to the national championship tournament, which is in April.
Is it difficult traveling all over the country with all of your equipment?
Well, it is and it isn't. We're kind of used to it because it's just part of being a bowler that you know you're going to be carrying equipment around wherever you go. That's the nature of the sport. Generally, when we travel, if we're traveling with all of our contingent of teams, we're taking a bus, so it allows the transportation of the equipment easier that way and luggage. When we get to this time of the year, we're probably traveling in vans, and so you're pulling luggage and bowling equipment in and out of bowling centers and in hotels and back and forth into cargo vans and such. So,
when you guys are competing against other teams, do you focus solely on your game and your style of play, or do you focus on what they're doing and having to match them and beat them?
It's a little of both, and it kind of depends on whether you're in tournament competition or if you're in match play. When you're in match play, you really do have to pay attention to what the other teams are doing because every shot that gets thrown affects the oil pattern. So if you're not paying attention to what they might be doing to the oil pattern, you may miss something and then be chasing, trying to get lined back up again. So it's a little of both. You obviously want to play your own game depending on what the other teams are doing, but you also can't ignore that either. So you have to kind of pay attention to both.
Is there anything else you'd like to add going into the playoffs?
Bowling is one of those sports that I think a lot of people don't realize just how big it is at the collegiate level in the country. Last year, our women won the national championship, and in doing so, they finished atop 142 other teams. Our men's division has about 170 different teams that are competing this season. So it's a very competitive sport. It's really interesting to see and quite thrilling when you walk into a ginormous bowling center and there are 80 teams lined up, one lane after another. So if anybody ever gets a chance to come see it, come see it.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate the time. Best of luck to Becca and the softball team and the bowling team. I'm Neil Fischer. Thanks for watching Lion Pride Sports.